Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you live in Central Texas, specifically around the Kyle and Hayes County area, you already know the climate here is absolutely brutal. We aren't just talking about a few warm afternoons, right? We're talking about a relentless microclimate that literally wages war on your home's cooling system. So today, we're pulling some absolutely crucial insights directly from the experts over at Pro HVAC Austin to give you a definitive survival guide for your cooling system. We're going to break down exactly what destroys these units, how you can prevent it, and most importantly, how to manage the inevitable costs. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, surviving Central Texas heat. Second, common Kyle HVAC killers. Third, 3 golden HVAC rules. Fourth, the cost of comfort. And finally, the professional service process.
Section 1. Surviving Central Texas heat, the brutal microclimate.
100. That is the magic or maybe tragic number that completely defines summer in Kyle. From June all the way through September, temperatures regularly smash past 100 degrees. What you've got to realize is that your air conditioner runs harder and longer here than in almost any other part of the country. When the heat hits those triple digits and just sits there, your system is forced to run for extended periods without a single second of rest. It's essentially running a marathon, but at a sprinter's pace.
But hey, the heat is really only half the story. The environment itself is the ultimate enemy here. First off, Kyle has this expansive clay soil that swells when it's wet and shrinks when it's dry, which causes your entire foundation to shift. Second, being surrounded by agricultural areas means you get these massive pollen drops in the spring that just choke your filters and coils. Add to that violent summer storms that trigger sudden power surges, totally frying your control boards. And finally, you know those crazy spring and fall days? The ones where you wake up freezing at 50 degrees and hit 85 by the afternoon? That rapid swing forces your system to constantly bounce between heating and cooling modes, putting immense stress on the reversing valves and thermostats. Section 2. Common Kyle HVAC killers, cause and effect. You know, when your AC breaks down, it usually feels like a stroke of incredibly bad luck. But actually, these are all perfectly logical chain reactions, and this brilliantly illustrates how it all connects. Follow along with me here. That expansive clay soil shifting? Well, it pulls at the flexible ductwork up in your attic, which causes the joints to completely disconnect and dump all your expensive, cooled air right into the rafters. That agricultural pollen? It builds up, restricts the airflow, and literally causes your indoor evaporator coils to freeze completely solid in the dead of summer. And that extreme heat causing your system to run 24/7? That constant, endless vibration eventually shakes the refrigerant line connections loose, creating nasty leaks. Every single breakdown has a geographical fingerprint. Which brings us to the absolute most frequent victim of the Texas heat, the capacitor. Think of the capacitor like a giant battery that jump-starts your compressor and blower motor every single time the system turns on. Extreme heat degrades these little components incredibly fast. When it dies, your system either won't start at all, or it'll do what's called a hard start, which severely damages your other more expensive components. It's actually one of the most common emergency calls Pro HVAC Austin gets, purely because our climate kills these parts way faster than cooler regions do. Section 3. 3 golden HVAC rules, cognitive anchors for homeowners. Okay, these next rules are your cognitive anchors. They're highly actionable, number-based rules derived straight from the field experience of local technicians. Definitely keep these in your back pocket. Our first major rule is the $5,000 rule. Look, at some point your system is going to break down, and you're going to face the ultimate homeowner dilemma. Do I repair this thing, or do I completely replace it? Well, this number makes that decision purely objective. So here's the formula. It's so simple. You multiply the age of your system in years by the estimated cost of the repair. If that number is less than $5,000, you go ahead and repair it. If it's more than $5,000, replacing it is hands down the smarter financial choice. For example, let's say you've got a 10-year-old unit and your tech hands you a quote for a $600 repair. 10 times 600 is $6,000. Because that's over our $5,000 threshold, pouring more money into that aging system is just a bad investment, especially knowing that 10-year-old systems in Central Texas are already severely losing their efficiency. Rule number 2, hit them with the 2-foot rule. This is entirely about your outdoor condenser unit. You absolutely must maintain 24 inches of clearance on all sides of that equipment. Out in Kyle, things like grass clippings, leaves, and those fluffy little cottonwood seeds accumulate super fast. If you let shrubs or yard storage encroach on that 2-foot barrier, you are literally suffocating the unit. Your condenser's entire job is to dump heat outside. If you restrict its airflow, it works harder, it spikes your energy bills, and it causes the compressor to fail way before it should. And our third golden rule is the 3-minute rule. If your AC ever shuts off, whether that's from a power outage, a rolling brownout, or maybe you were just impatiently fiddling with the thermostat, you must wait 3 full minutes before restarting it. Why? Well, because the refrigerant pressures inside the system actually need time to equalize. If you force it to restart immediately, you're putting a massive strain on the compressor. Now, modern thermostats often have built-in delays for this very reason, but if you have manual control, 3 minutes of patience can literally save you thousands of dollars in compressor damage.
Section 4. The cost of comfort, life cycle, and financial planning.
While national averages might try to tell you a system's going to last you a couple of decades, the reality in Hays County is a lot more compressed. Let's trace the timeline here. Year 1 is your initial installation. By year 10, because of all that marathon summer running we talked about, you're going to noticeably see the repair frequency start to tick up. By year 15, full replacement generally becomes far more cost-effective than dealing with ongoing repairs and paying bloated energy bills. 20 years? That's the absolute maximum expected lifespan. In Central Texas, you really need to expect to hit the lower end of that 15 to 20-year range, simply because of the immense workload these systems have to handle. And when you do finally reach that replacement phase, please remember this. Proper sizing matters way more than just hunting for the absolute lowest price tag. A professional load calculation is totally non-negotiable. If a contractor installs an oversized unit, it's going to short cycle, meaning it turns on and off rapidly, and it'll completely fail to pull the humidity out of your home. On the flip side, if it's undersized, it will literally never be able to keep up with a 100-degree afternoon. Incorrectly sized systems just burn through energy and die incredibly young.
Section 5. The professional service process, handling a breakdown.
Let's move to and see how this builds when you do face a breakdown. Here is exactly what a totally transparent process should look like, straight from the playbook of Pro HVAC Austin. Step 1 is contact and diagnosis, where technicians use actual diagnostic equipment, not just guesswork, to find the root cause. Step 2 is estimate and repair, where you get all your options laid out clearly on the table. And Step 3 is testing and warranty, where the system is thoroughly checked for proper airflow and refrigerant pressures before the tech ever even backs out of your driveway. As a homeowner, you should really be demanding these objective standards. You want flat-rate diagnostic fees, so there's absolutely no mystery. You want a written, itemized estimate before a single wrench is turned. You must ensure the technicians hold active TACLA licenses and EPA 608 certifications. That proves they actually have the legal authority and the safety training to handle refrigerants in Texas. And finally, you want strong labor warranties on all completed work so your investment is genuinely protected. No upselling, no runarounds, just crystal clear communication. So, wrapping up this explainer, I've got to leave you with one absolutely critical question to chew on. Is your HVAC system actually prepared for the next 100-degree day? Because let's be real, in Central Texas, that day is never far away. Take a quick walk outside, measure your 2 feet of clearance, go check your filter, and hey, if you haven't had a tune-up lately, get ahead of the curve. Your comfort, and for sure your wallet, really depend on it. Thanks for learning with us today.